If you haven't had an opportunity to watch, check out the Bates Motel episode airing March 24th, 2014. Stop listening now. Major spoilers. Here we go. Dylan questions his loyalty to Norma and Norman. Christine introduces Norma to the town's social scene. Caleb's presence worries Norman. Romero is caught between Zan'es' war with a rival drug family. Tonight's episode in the Bates Motel second season is by far one of the best episodes that has ever been scripted in this series. And I really have to say to the writers of Bates Motel, to the producers, to the director, and to the cast, what an amazing job. They finally, after a long time that we've been waiting for, they just crossed over and made that transition between Norman and Norma, okay? Now, what I mean by that, if you are familiar with the movie Psycho, if you're familiar with the source material from which Bates Motel came from, then you understand that at the end of this entire process, we should get a dead Norma and a Norman who is dressing up as Norma. I know that's kind of it's kind of crazy, I know, but that's what it is. That's the end result of Bates Motel. It is. It's kind of hard to explain it, but the love that Norman has for Norma is I don't know when, maybe in season 3, maybe at the end of this season, you know, if it decides to get canceled or something like that. Hopefully it never does. But at the end, the last final episode should be, you know, closely following the death of Norma, should follow with Norman beginning to dress up as Norma and to really get into her mind and actually, you know, use her mannerisms and walk like her, talk like her, act like her. I mean, he's like head over heels in love with her, and then that's what they tapped into tonight. And let me I kind of went off on, you know, way in left field, you know, because I'm so excited. But let me get back to tonight's episode. Tonight's episode is called Checkout, and it starts out with Emma waking up from making bad choices, or for what we, you know, think she made bad choices, because that's what they lead you to believe. But what happened is that she just pretty much just passed out from making bad choices as far as, I guess, alcohol related, not bad choices as far as losing her V. All right, thank God for that, because she's a really strong character, and I think that having Emma losing that would have really, I think, destroyed that character and any hopes of me enjoying this season, man. You know, the thing about Bates Motel is that there's really powerful women, powerful female characters in this show. Obviously, you know, the male characters are going to be powerful, they're going to be strong, but that's just how Hollywood always is going to cast them and always going to present them. But it's a rarity that you get a show, and there's 2 shows that I can say that for. Excuse me, actually 3. There's Banshee on Cinemax, there's Under the Dome, and then there's Bates Motel, that have strong female characters, man. And what I mean by that is, like, let's take Norma, for instance. Norma fights back, you know? If Norma gets beat up, if Norma gets done wrong, if she gets wronged in any way, she fights back. She always finds a way to stand back up on her 2 feet, you know? And that's, I think it's important, it's vital in today's society that you show that, man, okay? Anyway, that's my little preaching thing. Let me get back to it. After Emma wakes up, she goes outside of Bates Motel, because she's actually in the hotel room with, let's call him Cupcake Boy. Let's just call him that, because he calls her Cupcake Girl. Let's just call him Cupcake Boy. I still can't remember this guy's name. If you know it, please comment and let me know, and then I'll correct that. But she walks outside the hotel room. She sees a well, first off, she doesn't see it yet. She's just, you know, kind of like waking up, and trying to breathe, actually. And then she sits down. She starts trying to get herself together, tying her shoes and everything. And then this lady comes up, one of, I guess you can say, the guests at the Bates Motel. She's like, excuse me, who's the manager or whatever? There's a guy passed out. And then, she gets up, she walks out into the parking lot, and there's Dylan passed out, drunk, inside of his car, man. And he was so wasted that it took Emma to go and wake up Norman, who was asleep. I don't know what he was thinking about and dreaming about, but man, he was really deep in that sleep. And whenever Emma, shook him, and she was like, Norman, wake up. Well, Norman, he woke up, but he was kind of startled. Maybe that he didn't expect her to be there, or maybe something else. I don't know, but it was a strange vibe going on there. And then, Emma gets Norman. They go outside. They get Dylan. They pick him up, take him into the room, and then, Norman wanted to keep that situation with Dylan away from Norma because she's been through so much and wants to protect her. But Norma's walking past the room where Emma and Norman have placed Dylan in, and then she sees Dylan, and then she's like, get out, I'll take care of this. And then it was kind of this moment where Norma actually was like a mother. She was like a really nice, sweet, loving, caring mother. And she actually wrapped Dylan in like a baby, like a tortilla baby. And I'm serious, like, you ever seen those? If you watch Shameless last Sunday, I guess you can say it, you had a scene where the newborn babies were being wrapped up, and they wrapped the babies in a certain way. That's what she did with Dylan. Norma, she wrapped him, she wrapped his legs up, and I guess I noticed that because, I seen that on Shameless. Obviously, I don't know anything about wrapping babies. I never had babies before, but the point of this is that, I noticed that, from Shameless, you wrap a baby real tight, okay, and you care for it, and then she kind of kissed Dylan on his head, and kind of like rubbed his head or pet his head or, caressed his head or whatever you want to say. It was just it was a weird, strange moment, but there was just a great moment showing that Norma is a really great person. Don't really judge her character too much because she really does care deep down inside, all right? All right, so moving on, man. Here's what's going on in the rest of the show. Norma goes on a date with George, who is Christine's brother. And I remember last week when I did my podcast, I was kind of guessing and making some predictions about who Christine and who George are. It is official. They are actually the characters that I kind of figured they were. Christine is going to be the best friend of Norma Bates, and George is going to be this, I guess you can say, perfect guy, perfect boyfriend, perfect man for Norma, and that is going to send Norman into a rage, okay? So Norman is going to be angry, he's going to be upset, and tonight he was, man. And when they went on that date, Norman was he was jealous, man. He was, man, it was kind of scary to watch, man, because, he didn't like any of the stuff that George was doing, man. Flirting, touching, stuff like that, it kind of really... It really sent Norman into a panicky state, man. Tonight, we got to see how Cody is like, she's this calming mechanism for Norman, just like Bradley was. So I can officially say that tonight, that Cody has replaced Bradley. And the writers, once again tonight, they mentioned Bradley in the beginning of the episode. And then they took it right back. They were like, what, you're still not, this is what they said to Norman. This is what Cody said to Norman. What, are you still upset about that Bradley girl? Get over it. And then Norman's like, no, it's not about her, it's about my mom or whatever. But it's like, dang, man, I guess, I don't know if that's just the way that the producers and the writers and all that stuff want us to, I guess, get over it. And yeah, I guess we are now because we have no choice. Cody's there. She's not going anywhere. And their relationship is starting to grow. She's, how do you want to say it, man? She's showing Norman how to get his way. I think that's the best way to kind of to kind of say this, you know, how to manipulate every situation and how to, I guess you can say, control the situation too, to his benefit, okay? She's teaching Norman tonight, during tonight's episode. Check out how to get rid of a unwanted boyfriend, I guess you can say, or an unwanted guest. That's the best way, and the best way is to beat him up and to threaten him. Pretty much just be violent. That's what Cody is, man. She's not really, I guess you can say, like a violent person. She's just a really strong-minded female character, man. And her way is the only way that she knows how to survive in her situation, which we still don't know. But here's what I kind of get out of that. Her choice to teach, or her decision to teach Norman to fight against and rage against this machine, you know, is kind of telling about her situation with her one parent. She has a dad, and we haven't seen the dad yet. We just heard about him, and we understand. She said, I used to have a mother, but I don't have a mother anymore, and the reason why is because I didn't like the way that, you know, it was going, and it's better to have one parent, because if you have two, it's going to piss you off. So I guess she's just been her and her dad after her mom left or whatever. Maybe that's where her issues are coming from, but we'll kind of see where that's going. Dylan has officially moved out tonight. He informs Norma of that situation after he comes, I guess, gets over his hangover. I guess that's kind of the best way to say that. Gets over his hangover. Norma asks him, she's like, you know, what's the reasoning behind that? Is because, you know, they showed you that you're a man. She's like, you know, there's nothing, I guess, far from the truth. You know, just because you move out, you're not a man or whatever. And then, you know, he pushes his way through, and then he leaves. He leaves. He moves out. He does confront his dad, which is Norma's brother, Caleb, and Caleb gives the money back. So it's just kind of strange. I don't know if Caleb, I believe Norma. I mean, I think I believe Norma, but then again, after Caleb gave back the money, the whole point was for him to come, get the money, and then leave. But he gave the money back, which is a very large amount of money. So is he telling the truth, or did he just give the money back so that, you know, Dylan believes him? And I don't know. But Norman, at the end of the episode, he decides to, well, actually, I don't think he decides. I think that it just kind of snapped inside of him. And what I mean by that is that I think it snapped his perspective. It snapped his view. He actually, I think, turned at that point where he was going to this hotel room to threaten Caleb the first time, I guess you can say, with Cody, and he was like, I don't want to be here, I need to leave. And then Cody was trying to, you know, force him to stay there, and she gave him this crowbar, and then he kind of threatens. He's like, I need to go, get away from me. And then she's like, okay, chill, Norman, we can leave. And then she leaves. Well, he comes back to that apartment again, the apartment complex, and he's now coming to the apartment as Norma, not Norman. You know, so he knocks on the door, and then once Caleb comes to the door, he's like, look, I don't have anything to say to you. He's not Norman at that point. He's Norma. And he begins to kind of talk in a way as if he's telling Norma's story, but he's telling it using her words. It's so confusing. It really is. But it's not confusing, I guess, if you understand who Norman Bates is in the end, then you'll kind of understand that. I mean, I understood it perfectly. That's why I think this is the best episode of the season. And Caleb is like, you know, you need to leave or whatever. And then Norman kind of forces his way into the door as Caleb tries to shut the door. Norman comes in there and he's like, no. He's like, hold on, let me get this out. He says, no, I'm not going to be silenced. I've been silenced enough. And after that, Caleb, man, pushes him down, but, you know, pushes him into this chair. He sits down, and then after that, this flashback comes in the form of a scene, obviously, when I say flashback. and you get to see the violence that occurred between Caleb and Norma as seen through the eyes or the mind of Norman, if you understand what that means, okay? Norman's sitting down in the seat. He's upset. He just got pushed down by Caleb. A flashback sequence occurs. It's Caleb and Norma as kids, and that's in the mind of Norman. And then Norman kind of he jumps up. He pulls a knife out on Caleb, but he's not Norman. It's Norma. She stands up and then pulls out the knife, and she's like, "You're never going to hurt me again." But it's Norman in the room. If you kind of understand what I'm saying. I hope this isn't really that hard to understand. I guess it's just hard to kind of explain. You know, when you're doing a podcast, it's kind of hard to explain, but that's what occurred. Anyway, Caleb grabs Norman, and he takes the knife from him, and he's like, "You're crazy, whatever." And then he picks up his bag and he leaves. I don't know if he actually left town, but he did pick up his bags and he left. And when you look at next week's episode, I didn't see any Caleb inside of the preview. I just seen Officer Romero, the drug war, Norma, Dylan, and then Norman, and obviously Emma. I've seen them inside there, but I didn't see Caleb. Real quick, let me kind of go back and we'll talk about Sheriff Romero, because he had an appearance this episode, and he is stuck in between the war, man, that's going on between Zan'es and the drug people, and his house gets set on fire. So it's kind of scary, man, because this Zan'es dude just doesn't care, man. He doesn't have a filter. Sheriff Romero is the law. He's the law. He represents he represents the rules. And for some reason, Zan'es doesn't want that. Zan'es Carpenter, his whole, I guess, philosophy, I guess you can call it, is to just live his life the way he wants. Okay, the rules are I make the rules, and that's it, man. Anybody that goes outside of those rules that I made, you die. And he wasn't intimidated. What was fascinating by Zan'es' character is that he's not intimidated by Sheriff Romero, which most people are inside of Bates Motel. Dylan was intimidated. Norma was intimidated. Yeah, Norman was intimidated. So it's kind of strange to see that, man. I'm hoping that that Sheriff Romero makes it out of this season alive. I don't know how that's gonna work, but we'll see what happens. I know when his character comes on screen, it's captivating, man. Like, you can't look away because he's such an amazing actor. It's crazy, and that character is so rich, man. He said I'm a very nice guy up until the point that I break you. I'm a very nice guy up until the point where I break you. So that's kind of crazy, man. And he was talking to Zan'es, and after that confrontation occurred, there was some time that passed, and after that, a sheriff or deputy came up to Sheriff Romero and was like, "Hey, you need to leave. You need to go home." And then he went home, and his house was on fire. So that's something to really look at. One last thing before I go. It looks like Emma is kind of back into this Norman lane again. And what I mean by that is that she's starting to I don't know if we want to say fall back in love with Norman. She's starting to like him again, notice him again or something. And I think it has to do with Cody. I'm not really sure about it. It's just some things that I kind of feel. I feel some vibes between her, and she's kind of dropping some sweet knowledge on this dude, man. Like, hey, your mother's not going to approve of Cody. Why are you doing this? Wake up. She's not right for you, etc., etc. And, obviously, notice me. Okay. Like I said, I've always said that, I don't understand the reasoning behind Norman not being with Emma. I don't understand that. But, and now we have Cody, who's totally opposite of Bradley. She's totally opposite of Emma, and I don't know. I have no clue, man. But, like I said, Cody's relationship with Norma is heating up. Dylan moved out the house. Norma and Norman had some stuff happen tonight that I won't comment on, but I'm pretty sure you know where that goes. There's a drug war going on. Sheriff Romero's in the middle of that. And this is the best episode of Bates Motel so far, because it did the crossover transition between Norman and Norma. So we'll have to see what happens in the future with that, man. The time keeps switching between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. So check your local listings for when this thing occurs. On my in my area, it's 10 o'clock, and I'll have another episode podcast uploaded at that time. Thanks again for listening. That's 20 minutes. We're out of here.